All right, welcome everyone. Believe in Bills presented by FanDuel. I'm Adam Benigni. He, of course, is Sal Maiorana as we get ready for the final preseason game Thursday night at Highmark Stadium. And Sal, first of all, how you doing, man?
I am good. Back to work, and kind of a busy week with all that's going on, personally and professionally. But here
Yeah,
we are, another show. We'll crank something out here for these Bills fans.
right. Sal, of course, a new grandfather. Congratulations once again to you and your family.
Thank you very
And
much.
so let's get to the football here real quick. Uh, Joe Brady said some of the starters are going to play in this game. Take us inside that, what fans can expect.
Yeah, I mean, look, somebody's got to play the game, right? So there will be some starters. Now, the interesting news that came out on Tuesday is that apparently they've told Alec Anderson that he's going to be the starting left guard. So that's one less competition, I guess we have to pay attention to. So I would assume that Anderson, although he might play at him because he's still an inexperienced player, but I would guess maybe Austin Corbett just starts the game and then they use the rest of their backups uh, the rest of the way. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm not exactly sold that Alec Anderson's a stud yet. Maybe he still needs to play. But outside of that, you look around, there's really not going to be a whole lot of starters that are going to be in the game. There's still some battles that are up for grabs, guys that might be starters when this whole thing is said and done. But yeah, I think it's going to be the typical third preseason game. A lot of guys at the bottom of the roster playing the game.
What's your impression of Anderson getting the nod there? I mean, that's something we had talked about, and we kind of felt that it was going to be that way all along. They split time, but you could see that trend as the
Yeah.
preseason continued.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting the first run whenever the Bills would do usually when they would do the 11-on-11 drills in practice, and then in the games he started the first two games, played a series or two, and then Corbett would rotate in. So it felt all along it was Alec Anderson's job to lose, and apparently he didn't lose it. I don't. It's pretty hard for you and I to discern what really happens in a left guard competition. I
Yeah.
can't tell you one way or the other who's the better player, but the Bills have determined for now that Alec Anderson will be the guy. I think Austin Corbett still makes the team. I do believe they need a veteran guy as the swing guard. They don't have great options, behind Corbett. I mean, what do they have? They really don't have much of anything in that position. So I think he's going to make the team. But yeah, Anderson, I guess, deserves to start.
What other positions are you paying most attention to? Because there are, some on the. I'm interested in what's happening at cornerback. Obviously, we have a fairly good idea at the receiver position, though down towards as you get toward the bottom of the depth chart, and then there's special teams and dual roles on the team. There's a lot of things that can still play out that they could be trying to decide here to finalize this roster.
Yeah, I'm right in the middle, Adam, of writing my position battles to watch for this game that'll publish probably tomorrow. And usually I try to do like four or five. I think I'm going to have like six or seven this time because the bottom of the roster at several positions really they've brought in some pretty good competition. They've got some tough calls to make. I mean, we can go through a few of them here. You mentioned wide receiver, and I think we're all pretty sure that Moore, Palmer, Coleman, and Shakir are the top four. If the Bills keep six, you got to figure Skylar Bell's making the team as a fourth round pick. They're going to have to carry him. So what do you do with that sixth spot? You got Sherfield, you got Nicole Coleman, who's in the running for the punt return job. Dante Pettis is in the running for the punt return job. Jamori Macklin has really shown out in the preseason. Stephen Gosnell. So they got a tough call to make. If it's me, Adam, I'm taking Sherfield, who basically is the Tyrell Shavers replacement, right? A good blocker in the run game. He can catch the ball a little, and he's a core special teamer over a guy like Hardman. And we talked about this already. If Ray Davis can win that punt return job, that kind of negates your need for Nicole Hardman. So I think receiver is going to be really interesting what they do there. And we can go through these positions as you want, but
Yeah.
if you want to give me your thoughts on what you think for receiver.
I mean, I think Sherfield has stood out I mean, he's been very, very consistent and made plays. And that to me, of that group, he seems to have been the most steady and consistent. And so I agree with you in that assessment. As far as cornerback is concerned, I mean, that whole Max Hairston situation, I realize now we're not talking about the bottom of the roster anymore, but it's interesting. I mean, they've given him starter treatment. I guess, do you expect that to continue straight on through moving forward?
Look, he has not played in the preseason games yet. He did get work in the joint practice. So I don't know if that means, like, he didn't play against Cleveland. I don't know if that means that they've decided he's the starter and he's getting the starter treatment, or he's just not ready to go. Now, it'll be interesting to see what happens Thursday. I think he's got to play, Adam. He hasn't played. And this is not a guy who is an established veteran. He had a rookie season that was kind of sabotaged by injury. He's proven nothing to me yet. And I can't imagine he's proven, a whole lot to Jim Leonhard at this point. So I think he's got to play and do something in this game, and then see what happens with Igbinosun. He'll definitely play. I don't think Igbinosun has been good enough to replace Max Hairston, but it would just be nice to see Max Hairston play a little bit in this new defense. So I think that's a key thing to look for on Thursday night. And then we've discussed this. I still think they got to sign a veteran cornerback, Adam. Are they really
100%.
right? Are they really going to go into this season with Max Hairston, Igbinosun as the CB2, one of those guys a backup, and then who's your fourth guy? Right now, it would be Kenai Walker, who's an undrafted rookie free agent. Like, that's your fourth guy. Or you've got your seventh round pick, Toriano Pride, who I think has no chance of making the roster. I think he'll be a practice squad guy. I mean, to me, that's a glaring need for the Bills. They need a veteran cornerback, but we'll see. Maybe they're going to roll the dice with these young kids, but man, that's risky.
Another issue, let's talk about linebacker. And I know Joe Brady talked about that. Terrell Bernard's status, I know people have had questions about his situation. Are all indications that he's going to be set for week 1?
Yeah, I mean, Brady said it is injury related this week. It's why he wasn't practicing. And, this has become a common theme with Terrell Bernard. So you wonder what the situation is. But Brady was pretty much adamant that, Terrell Bernard is going to be our starting middle linebacker. So they just got to get him healthy for the opener. So obviously he won't play. The big battle there is the other side with Dorian Williams and Kaleb Elarms-Orr, the rookie, who probably has played better this summer than Williams. I think that is a great battle, and it'll be interesting to see which way they lean. That could be a timeshare, Adam. That might be one of those situations where, Williams has been a good run defender, but he's not good in pass coverage. That could be a situation where matchup based, one guy is on the field for the early downs, the other guy comes on for the late downs. That's a possibility there. And then, after that, you're looking at Buffalo Joe, who had a decent game against the Browns. He made some plays in that game. He'll be in the mix. But really, Keontae Jenkins has been the guy who's flashed. And I mean, if you're telling me they're keeping 4, right now I'm leaning towards Keontae Jenkins as being the fourth guy, and then you hope you get Joe Andreessen back on the practice squad. So they could keep 5, and then if they do, I think both guys are safe. But that's a position that definitely bears watching. A, for a starter, and B, who's the last guy on the depth chart.
As far as Elarms-Orr, he's been really a big story of the preseason and the offseason because he was able to capitalize on all those reps. I mean, it may in fact be a timeshare, as you had suggested, but don't you think? I think Elarms-Orr has a pretty bright future as you look to their plans and as you look to how Jim Leonhard wants to get this defense ultimately set.
Yeah, I mean, he plays menacingly is what I would call it. I still haven't seen the kid smile in however long he's been on the team. He is focused 100% on football. You love the attitude, and he can play. I mean, he has shown that he can definitely play. So, good athlete. I think they're going to be okay at that spot. And really, Dorian Williams, it's not like Dorian Williams has played poorly and he's losing the job, but he's just getting a hell of a competition from this rookie. And let's face it, Elarms-Orr is the future because Williams is going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So, Elarms-Orr is going to be the future at that position. Maybe he gets a head start and plays, a whole lot as a rookie this year.
All right, so that kind of covers a lot of what's happening down the roster. And again, this is the preseason game, so I want to widen out now in the time we have left here. In terms of there being, I was thinking about this the other day, in terms of a situation where there's a new head coach, right? Obviously promoted from within, several new pieces in place, all of that, and of course you have an all-time franchise quarterback to build this thing around. I mean, they seem pretty prepared to me. We've been through a lot of new coach situations through the years when circumstances and context were obviously vastly different for this team and this organization. But given what they went through in the offseason and kind of the tumultuousness that resulted from McDermott's departure, I mean, I kind of sense a steadiness, and you don't know how it's going to translate necessarily in a regular season game. But I'm pretty confident. I'm confident. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see glaring areas of weakness necessarily, assuming everyone's healthy. I guess that's my point.
Yeah, the Bills are still a very good team, Adam. I mean, you're going to read the FanDuel odds later. They're still right there in the Super Bowl conversation. I'm not quite sure I'm there. I still think that I think it's going to be a tough road for the Bills with their schedule and, new coach and, adapting. I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk. It's going to be a tough season, but they're still one of the best teams in the AFC. There's no denying that. So I think they've adapted very well to the transition to Brady. He clearly has their ear. Like, they respect him. It helps that he's been here and he's got the great rapport with all the guys on offense. And we've talked about it a million times, but I think he really made a good choice at defensive coordinator. I like what Jim Leonhard has brought to the team. I like his energy. I like his intelligence. Yeah. I like the way this defense is shaking out, the way he's got things, he's got guys in positions that I think like a guy like Landon Jackson. I think they made a great decision on Landon Jackson to move him down the line. He's been one of their best players in the summer. I thought he was going to struggle as an outside linebacker in this defense. That was a good move to get him down there. I think the signing of Greg Gaines the other day, I think that's a solid. Now, I don't know what's going to happen, right? Who knows with the roster? We've seen surprises, but I think Greg Gaines makes this team because he is a solid veteran who's got a lot of games in this type of defense. I think Dwayne Carter really hasn't done. I mean, Carter played okay the other day. I shouldn't say that, but again, against a bunch of backups. So I think his roster spot's tenuous. So I like that addition, and I'm sure Leonhard had something to do with that, right? I mean. Yeah. Bean makes the signing. I just wrote about it. I hadn't published it yet, but Michael Hoyt was saying yesterday that he was on the phone with Gaines as soon as free agency started, and he was saying, "You got to come to Buffalo, figure out a way to get here." And it finally happened in late August. I think that's a good move for the Bills to get him in there. So I like what Brady has done on the defensive side, and while he's paying more attention to the defense, he clearly is letting Jim Leonhard run that side, just the way Sean McDermott did with Brady and the offense the last few years. All
right. So that sets the stage for us. Any other news items that you wanted to get in or you're including in the Democrat and Chronicle? Again, it's kind of one of those flux situations. It's a third preseason game. We all know what goes into that. We'll really be able to dissect this as they begin to trim the roster coming out of this thing. But anything else you're watching or reporting on the Democrat and Chronicle before we wrap this thing up today?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the backup quarterback job is pretty much settled. I think Kyle Allen has been really good. Now, whether that translates to the regular season, if he ever had to play, I don't know. I still would rather have Mitch Trubisky, but I feel better, Adam, about the backup QB situation. He's been pretty. 24 of 28, no matter who you're playing against. This is the NFL. That's pretty good numbers, and it hasn't all been dink and dunk. He's thrown the ball downfield and made some really nice completions. So I like the way that's gone. So I think he's going to be the backup quarterback, and then Bouchel will be back on the practice squad. So good situation for Josh Allen. It's what he wanted, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure he recruited Kyle Allen back to Buffalo once Trubisky was gone. He has some sway in that area. So I like the way that has mapped out. The other thing is offensive line. I think that's going to be they've got some decisions to make in the interior and at tackle on who the backup's going to be. I don't think Drew Barry is going to be on the I think they're going to put him on injured reserve. He just hasn't looked good. I think that was a very you never want to see a guy get hurt, Adam, but that might be a very well-timed injury. They stash him on injured reserve for the year. But is Tylen Grable really the swing tackle? I mean, he has been, but he sure hasn't shown a whole lot. I'm a little concerned there if one of those two guys were to get hurt, Dawkins or Brown. And then on the interior, again, Austin Corbett, I think, makes the team. What about Cedric Van Pran-Granger? I mean, can he beat out Lloyd Cushenberry to be the backup center? That'll be interesting to figure out, too. So they got some calls to make on the offensive line.
All right, and the third preseason game Thursday night at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, the final audition, if you will, before they cut down the roster. So that's going to do it for this edition of Believe in Bills. Thanks for being with us. FanDuel, presenting sponsor for this show and others on the Believe network of podcasts. As I pull it up here, over-under, Sal, remains at 10.5 in terms of win total for the Bills this year. I find that an interesting number. I mean, I suppose that factors in some of the questions about Brady. And if they finish below that, then it's going to get interesting.
Yeah, I mean, 10.5 is kind of the number I would think, right? I think they're a 10 or 11 win team. And that should be good enough to get into the playoffs. Will it be good enough to win the division? We'll see. The Patriots have just as tough a schedule as Buffalo does. I like I said, Adam, people are going to be maybe surprised that the Bills are going to lose some games this year. I think it's a tough. We've talked about the start of the schedule, right? If they come out of that 3-3, if they come out of that 3-3 as they go into their bye week, that might be as good as we can expect, given who they're playing and a few of those games on the road. Obviously, they've got that stretch in the middle where they might be able to make some hay, and then they close with a really tough finish. So yeah, that 10.5 number. You can't pin me down as to which way I'd fall there.
No.
I mean, I could definitely say 10. I could say 11. I'm not sure if I could go to 12 with this schedule this year.
Yeah, it's. I mean, Vegas has a good read on that, I think. And of course, the
what is the Patriots? What do they say for the Patriots? Are they probably the same? I bet they're probably the same. I bet they probably have the division as a toss-up.
No, they have the Bills favored in the division.
Okay.
Win total hovering around 9.5 to 10.5. So yeah, wow. 9.5 to 10.5. So they're giving Buffalo like a little bit of an advantage. Not quite a full 1 game advantage, but in terms of the speculation, they're giving the Bills the edge and they're favored to win the division.
I think part of that might be that the Patriots got so fat last year on that easy schedule. Maybe the odds guys aren't quite believing in that roster against a really tough schedule. Could be, but they did add A.J. Brown, so that should help Drake May just a little bit. It's a pretty impactful free agent signing too. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting for sure.
All right, Sal, we'll talk to you after the game on Thursday night and then begin to dissect things as they trim down the roster. So thanks as always. We'll follow you in the Rochester Democrat and Chronicle. For Sal Maiorana of the Rochester DNC, I'm Adam Benigni of WGRZ-TV and Buffalo Sports Talk Live, Monday nights at 7 o'clock on Channel 2. This has been Believe in Bills, presented by FanDuel.